can't promise it will be decent.
No.
We promise it will be very indecent.
Yes, that's our endeavor.
Yes.
And can you bring some of the people over there just inside here so we have more people? Bara draga eitthvað. Ég veit það ekki, hann bara eitthvað fram með það.
Taka þetta upp bara.
Já, það verður að stríma þessu sko.
Já.
En það er aðalega fyrir Dóru sko. Hún myndi að horfa á þetta í gegn.
Dóru og Andriki.
Já, nákvæmlega. Hvað segir ég?
Ég verð líka basically taka á það.
Já, einmitt. Þetta verður kannski bara, já, þetta verður svona óformlegra en þetta átti ekki að vera mjög formlegt en ég ljósi þess að það sé ekkert svo margir, þá verðum við kannski með þá. En Ásta og Kó, vil ég ekki koma nær og...
Við getum komið nær, en má ég bara, let's join them.
Woo! Join us, we have cookies. Or something.
Ætlar þú ekki að vera með?
Þú ættir allir þingmenn.
Ég ætla bara að spyrja, erum við spyrjum?
Nei, þú ættir að vera hérna.
Nei, þú verður að
Ertu
vera
með okkur?
státtur með okkur.
Má ég taka bjóða með það?
Já.
Já, það má.
Þú ert ekki keyra Ásta, þannig að það er...
Mér er alveg sama.
Ok. Svo Jóhanna, byrja bara að kynna að sé á ensku okkur það og svo bara...
Já, það er sem sagt vað.
Já, velkomin á Symposium með þingmönnum Pírata í Reykjavíkurkjördæmanum, er ekki sér rétt?
Höfuðborgarsvæðinu.
Höfuðborgarsvæðinu. Já, það er í heitt kraganum þess að.
Já.
Jæja, allir koma nær, kósi.
Jason, go get the other guys.
Go get everyone that's in the other bars.
No, don't do that.
Everyone that's watching football, bring them here.
We are way more fun than football, right?
You can put it on one of the screens.
Fuck, that was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so given the fact that a majority of the audience is not a foreigner, not an Icelandic native speaker.
Aliens.
So the language that we'll be using here tonight will be English, but I still encourage everyone in the audience, if they're more comfortable with asking questions in Icelandic, just let it drop. So we'll start by going the round, where everybody introduces themselves and talks for 2 or 3 minutes about what they've been doing in Parliament. And my name is Johanna, and I'm the finance person for the
treasurer for the young pirates in Iceland.
Hi, my name is Ásta. I'm a pirate, and I'm also a member of parliament. Anyway, I happen to be, what is it called, the newly selected chairman of the parliamentary group. So I have like all kinds of new responsibilities on my shoulders, such as organizing people and figuring out things. And what I've actually been doing in the past few weeks is basically introducing myself to that new role and organizing things, and especially trying to figure out how we can actually fix that webpage of ours to actually be more efficient of delivering the knowledge that we kind of want to deliver to other people. And organizing events. And
I like that kind of events.
yeah, that's the best thing. And I've also started to actually write a new parliamentary resolution about reviewing the existing penal code in a holistic sense, and that's going to be my project for the next few weeks. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Birgitta Jónsdóttir. I am a parliamentarian for the Pirate Party. Been a parliamentarian for almost 8 years, so I'm actually one of the veterans in the parliament because we have so much rollover of parliamentarians. And one could say that the parliament is sort of one continuous youth group. So we almost only have millennials within the Pirate Party group. So we certainly make it easy for young people to be engaged and to shoulder responsibility, which I think is very important. Sort of legislation that deals with democracy in the digital era. and the other is the new constitution that was sort of crouched, but unfortunately I think we've reached a total dead end with it. I have also worked a lot on a project called IMMI, which is about making Iceland into a digital safe haven. That is still ongoing, even if it's extremely slow. And with the recent events in our world, it has never been as important to create a home for all the forbidden knowledge, like John Perry Barlow said about this project. But other than that, I'm just sort of enjoying being, a parliamentarian with very little responsibility right now. Which is really nice.
Very good.
Towards the
sleeping
group. So yeah.
Hi, I am Victor. I am a member of Parliament for Reykjavik South District. I'm actually a deputy or substitute member for Gunnar Ragn here, and I've been in Parliament since 22nd of December. There were so I had 2 days of Parliament before Christmas, and that was when we were debating and adopting the budget for the government, and like having hundreds of votes, or at least 100 of votes. So that I kind of hit the ground running and had to learn everything, how it works in Parliament while, trying to make all these important decisions. It was very exciting, and it's, even though it didn't go quite as we would have wanted it, we at least got, we made it less bad. And I didn't have much to do with that, but at least, it was good to see that. And since then I've been, kind of getting into the job. We have been very reactionary in some senses. We have been very critical of the new government, especially the Prime Minister, who has hidden reports from the public before the elections. I have been emphasizing sort of youth political engagement and how the government can support that and policies in that area, so I'm working on a resolution for that. I'm also, a joint putting forth resolutions and all sorts of bills in Parliament, and been sort of trying to advocate in the things that Birgit was going over, like the freedom of speech, and also mental health care, especially for young people. New constitution, of course, and lots of other issues like that. Sorry.
Hi, my name is Þórhildur Sunna Ævarsdóttir, but I'm called Sunna, so no worries.
That's easier.
So I am also one of the newly minted MPs. I'm 29 years old, so I'm also one of the millennials of the group. Since I started Parliament, I guess my biggest achievement was to manage to get through a change in the proposed law on how the committee that pays our wages and decides our wages and decides the wages of judges and other people who cannot easily unionize or strike, modified that law a bit because it was pretty shit, and it's still pretty shit, but I managed to put it in there that they have to follow administrative law and our Act of Information law when they're making their decisions. We've yet to see if they will do that or not, but that was something that went into the majority opinion. All my other suggestions for that law were quashed by Parliament, but I can try again at some point. I've recently been appointed as the chairperson of Iceland's division of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, which is really exciting for me. I educated myself as a human rights lawyer. I've studied up on a lot of European court cases, or European Court of Human Rights, and obviously the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe is one of the units that created the European Convention of Human Rights, so that's incredibly exciting. So what I've been doing is acquainting myself with the rules of procedure of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, which are 300 pages long, plus the statutes and all sorts of other things, because I'm very, very excited about that task. So I want to try and make the most of it and try to make a sort of European or global impact out of the work that we do here. And aside from that, I guess my latest resolution was set of formal questions to our foreign minister of what actually happened to an investigation that a former prime minister, a very famous former prime minister, Sigmundur Davíð Gunnlaugsson, promised to make in 2014 regarding basically transit or when Icelandic flights when CIA flights with prisoners going to black site prisons would land in Iceland and fuel up and rest before they transported people to some black site prisons. And there was an event
properly defined, formally set. So I am a Paris member in the committee of the national budget. It's very interesting. We've recently passed a new law on how to operate basically on forming our national budget, so everyone's learning on how to do that. And the role of the committee is turned more into a surveillance kind of committee. Instead of deciding you get like 100,000, you get like 1 million and stuff like that. We're basically stamping one big sum and then keeping tabs on how it's actually spent and being very annoying. We're trying to be very annoying. So I'm trying to get the culture for that committee to be annoying on behalf of the ministries, be annoying to the ministers. So apart from that, I've been badgering the Prime Minister about his reports that he didn't turn in, and then he did turn them in later and said it was just fine, which is kind of like the reasoning behind he robbed the place, got caught, and then he returned stolen goods. No, that's fine. Nothing happened. So no, that doesn't really compute. So. Another thing I'm working on is changing our voting laws, because they're silly right now. The current government has less votes than the opposition parties, like a 1% difference, which is crazy. I am compiling a resolution for meat culturing, and also looking into how I can have it so that we get a randomized like a jury duty in the US, like a jury duty for Parliament. So like every week or so we get like two people just randomly selected to have like a speech in Parliament and one question to a minister or something like that. So stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a question. You say you're working on a law and you're in opposition. What are the chances of this kind of law actually passing?
Oh, huge!
Something could be huge and zero. I think that is that.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, my name is Ungra Pírata.
That wasn't quite an entrance.
Yeah, I was trying to see what beers. But yeah, I'm a member of Parliament for Reykjavik South, but I've been away on sick leave since December. Victor took over for me. I was away because of depression, which is unusual to be in the public sphere like this. But we have one tradition of mentally challenged politicians. Just not exactly open about it, but I'm trying to change that sort of taboo culture by just embracing it. And when I come back, I'm going to focus on mental health issues. We have a very broken system. When it comes to that, we have people being turned away, very, very sick people. The rate of suicide deaths is at least twice that of what happens in traffic, traffic accidents. And just a fraction of the money in preventative measures. So yeah, I'm going to be focusing on that, and also I'm quite interested in what's going to happen to NATO now that we have a president of the United States who's not committed to the alliance anymore. I used to be a reporter when I was specialized in terrorism and panda bears being born, which is sort of the two main news. When it comes to foreign news, that's all you see in Iceland, really. But yeah, so I have an international focus.
Which reminds me of also have the reputation of calling Trump a fascist for some strange reasons.
So I had moved away at one more issue left, which was one of our focus issues this term, which is free access to the corporate registry. So we can actually look up for free instead of there's a paywall now. Who owns which company and stuff like that.
And calling Trump a fascist.
And actually our main, the sort of parliamentary group has kind of decided that our main issue, like within Parliament, our bill is for that ministers have to provide information to Parliament and tell the truth to Parliament. Yeah, I know. It's revolutionary. It's a revolution. That's why they call us radicals, you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're suggesting that it be penalized if it can be determined that a minister knowingly or very recklessly hid information from Parliament or lied to the Parliament.
Actually make it happen.
Or misinformed Parliament.
Yeah.
Well, it will be interesting to see how.
Like
It will be interesting to see how the government parties will tell us no,
Yeah.
which is likely. But you know, I'm just interested to see what their argumentation would be. It's gonna hurt.
But may I raise awareness that there are at least one fellow pirate from a foreign shore. There is somebody from the Finnish pirates.
The Finnish pirate. Please stand up.
And a lot of the people that are here are at the ICANN in between conference. What is it called? Like intercession. And it consists of a lot of NGOs that are fighting for very pirate-oriented issues when it comes to human rights in cyber. So to all our guests.
Well,
And of course the Icelandic guests.
since you're standing, can you tell us just for like 2 minutes about the pirates in Finland, when you were founded, how you're doing? And
Okay. Right. Well, the Finnish Pirate Party was made like 2 years after the Swedish one in 2008.
okay.
We've had 4 elections so far. In every single election, we increased our votes.
Okay.
I've been now in the Pirate Party for 9 years, and well, the progress has been a lot slower than I thought, but it's still like it's increasing rapidly.
Okay.
And we had 0.8% of the votes in Finland. Basically, if it was a proportional system, that would already give us 1.5 seats.
Wow. Okay.
What else? We got a municipal election coming up in April. If you got any ideas how to sort of help us or something, it's all welcome. It's only like 1.5 months away. And I think we got the best chances in Helsinki. We have this one guy who is a doctor of physics, like nuclear physics.
Okay.
And he's very popular. He's a sort of a young old school hippie. A lot of people know him already since the 90s, and like he has a really solid support there. He got like I was the second most popular in Helsinki district of the pirates. He got 6 times more votes than me.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's doing very well.
Okay.
I think our chances are really good in the Helsinki district, which is the only district in Finland that has when the district is same as in the municipal elections and the parliamentary elections. And we had in the parliamentary elections in 2015 we had like 5,100 votes, and to go through in the municipal elections you need something like 3,250. So it's like.
So one very, very important question. How do you say the Pirate Party Finland in Finnish?
Piraattipuolue.
Piraattipuolue.
Yes.
So let's everybody say that. Piraattipuolue. 1, 2, 3. Piraattipuolue.
Piraattipuolue.
Yes, good.
All right.
Pirate Party Icelandic.
Piratar on Islandi.
Piratar.
Yeah, piratar.
Just pirata.
To be
Piratar. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, we've been taking over.
I know. So thank you all. for these introductions. Now we just open the floor and you just raise your hand if you want a question and I point to you and say, get us away.
Do you mind if I answer in English or? Yeah. Okay, so
The question is,
he was asking about Manning because obviously she's being released because her sentence was commuted on the 17th of May. I have asked lawyers at the ACLU if she needs to go in a halfway house or how things are because U.S. justice system is strange. But she will be immediately free, so she could come here. There is now like this amazing fundraising, and there's already been collecting like a homecoming fund for her because obviously she will have nothing when she comes out. So it's already in 5 days been collected like $80,000. And the aim was like 100,000, so I'm just so happy to see all the support for her. Of course, Donald Trump has been, he's been talking in a really horrible way about her, like just about every other important person. So it also means that she's important to him. So we need to make sure to follow very closely what is going to be happening in the next months. But I'm so overjoyed that she's coming out.
Woo for Chelsea Manning. Yeah.
He was just being notified that Arsenal, which is apparently a golf team, doing curly stuff somewhere, that they just lost the curling.
Yeah. I was aware that it was 4-1 when we started this meeting, so it ended 4-1, you say? Against Bayern München. That's, well...
You want to like lay down on the floor and cry?
I might.
Okay.
Sports is... I just want to remind you to read Chomsky about what sport is.
Yes. Well, if you're going to say it's the opium of the people, I'm going to say
no, that was somebody else.
Manufacturing of consent.
That was religion.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that, but you can turn the phrase over to sports.
Just go and look up Chomsky.
But then again, for a lot of people, sports are religion.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
True.
Which is probably the worst thing to happen in München since the beer hall putsch.
Sorry.
They're
I'm
fun!
sorry to disregard your feelings for Arsenal.
My granddad seems to agree that sports are the new religion. We sort of learned that, me and Asta, we were hosting a meeting when the Icelandic football was on this summer. And there was a lot of people like, what are you thinking, having a meeting?
I agree. I was there. I was in
football.
France. And it was awesome.
And we were just like, what the freak?
But
like,
it used to be like nobody's having any fun while the church is going on. So it's sort of turned around. Now you're not allowed to do anything other than what.
Oh, yeah. All right.
All right, next question. Ed.
Yeah, so I'm really happy to be here and talk to you guys.
Same.
I'm from Romania, maybe you're aware that we're having like massive anti-corruption
Yes.
protests.
Okay, yeah.
And then the thing is that this last elections, parliamentary elections in December, we had a party that's really similar to you guys that was established last year, and it got to third. With only 9%, but it got in the parliament.
Okay.
It's still a big thing.
What's it called?
It's called Union Save Romania.
Okay.
Okay.
And they're like really smart people, graduates. Most of them are not politicians. They just came in because they felt we need a social change. We need to change politics, so we're doing it. So I was very curious. I have two questions for you. First of all, you're also like not having the majority in the parliament. Like, you came third, or not, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I suppose you guys are also overwhelmed with a lot of amendments you need to do, a lot of questions you need to ask. You know, like for instance, the budget probably was a headache. You're having also your stuff. So first question is, how do you deal with all this pressure and all this workload? And the second one is, as a citizen, for instance, as an Icelandic, what can an Icelandic citizen do to help you? So I know what a Romanian citizen could do to help this new party.
If I may answer, we're actually so lucky that Birgitta here, she was actually in parliament at least 4 years. Well, she was actually in parliament for 4 years. Before the pirates were actually...
Yeah, before the
pirates were actually elected into parliament. And that actually has been a huge help in actually developing what the Pirate Party is. So the difference between maybe actually coming in just new in whatever chaos that's actually happening is something that Birgitta can actually, you know, tell you guys about. But the difference between the pirates is that we're not that much of a carte blanche as maybe a perfectly new party that, you know, that's actually stepping into parliament for the first time ever. So I think that is actually the biggest difference between the Pirate Party Iceland and other new parties that are actually trying to fight corruption, trying to do politics differently, etc. Is that we actually had someone that actually had the knowledge and was actually able to guide us. And I think that is the difference, but that's only the answer to one of the 2 points.
Well, if I may add very quickly, is that, you know, when my party that I have co-founded back in 2009, when we got in, we got like 7.3%. It was sort of like a loosely knit coalition of very different people that wanted to change society, and we were so had because like we didn't know anything. We didn't know anything about the procedures, and we actually, one of the things that's very good to do is to pretend you don't know. So you can actually make deliberate errors and claim ignorance that might move the threshold of the norm. One very important thing is never take yourself too seriously. Always be the annoying fly in the tent. And always ask questions about the things that look stupid or silly, and expose the emperor. Because, and of course, you know, eventually you learn all the procedures, but you have to make sure you do not become domesticated, because then you become the system that you're trying to change, and you might lose, you know, the edge. So I'm really glad that all these new MPs that came in, they all have their different edges, and so once we can make this group function, and it takes time, I think we can achieve amazing things together.
But that would not happen without the knowledge that actually Birgitta brought from her previous parliamentary group to the next one, and then what we actually were in the first pirate parliamentary group actually bring to the next one. So the knowledge is the foundation of, I think, our success. And that success is actually because of like so many working hours and so many mistakes. And that's something that we may not and should not forget.
This has a lot to do with the speech you're talking about, the load that you get as an MP. It overwhelms in such a way that you automatically go into the usual politics. I always take up the similarities between driving a car. You know the tracks on the roads, you get like dents in the asphalt. The car slides into them if you're not paying attention. And that's basically how it works in this environment where you're just constantly being bombarded and the schedule is all a mess. You just have to do things as they're normally done, as you've seen it from outside. That's really tricky and dangerous. So you have to keep a lookout for, like, wait, what's going on? Why is this happening like that without me having anything to say? So the trick is definitely to pick a couple of issues that you're going to focus severely on. And any other empty hours you have, you can take part of in the conversation, but you focus on those specific issues.
If I might maybe answer the second part of the question, because I don't think we really addressed that a lot yet. I think for us it's still a work in progress how our grassroots and also just the public in general can help us the best. But something that is definitely useful is if you're interested in a specific policy area, or if you're interested in a specific legislation that is going through Parliament, send in reviews. You have this legal mechanism of sending in reviews. You can also, if you're worried about a certain aspect of a legislation, you can find all of our email addresses on the homepage of Parliament, and you can send us specific questions to ask to ministers or to address in Parliament, or if there's something that you feel really needs to just be said and needs to be made a topic of discussion, you can also send it, and we have means of getting it into sort of the general discourse, because we have certain slots in Parliament that are allotted for just speaking our mind. We just have like 2 minutes where we can say, I just don't like the weather today, or whatever. So we have these 2 minutes allotted to us a couple of times a week where we can express our views on or concerns on pretty much anything. And we can ask very specific questions of ministers, we can ask for reports, and obviously, if someone is really enthusiastic about a specific area, it helps a lot because we are overwhelmed. There is a lot. There's always, there's so many cases going on at the same time, that if someone is really interested in something, send a well-reasoned argument to one of the MPs or the party as a whole and say, I think you should ask this minister that, or I think you should ask for a report on this, or you really should question this minister on what he's doing there, or this amendment needs to be made to this law, and preferably with some argumentation as to why.
But just a hint, because we read a lot and we have a lot of emails, be concise.
Yeah. Can I go two of those questions already? People sending us, can you ask these questions?
We are living freedom of information.
Yeah, I was going to say, from my short experience, I have still noticed that the sort of expectation that the general voter seems to maybe have towards a general, like an ordinary MP, is that they have much more power and influence than they actually do. Especially, even ministers don't have total power over what they, their area. Majority MPs don't have that much power, and minority MPs, but they have some tools. So my answer is find out what tools they have and specifically help them to use those tools. Because I've had a lot of people, and we all have, talk to me about a lot of important issues and tell me about a lot of important sad problems that I sympathize with and that I would like to help out with. But and maybe it changes or informs my view in a way. But what would be most helpful in actually trying to change it would be just, okay, I can send a question to the minister or to the ministry. I can demand information from the ministry. I can raise this issue in Parliament, in parliamentary debates. So if you can send me what exactly do you want to ask the minister, I can ask that on your behalf. So basically, if you try and do that exact work for them, because otherwise you're having all this sort of information and problems, and you thinking about all of them, which question shall I pull out from all of this,
So basically, no man is an island, and us MPs, at least here in Iceland, we don't have like series of assistants that other MPs in other countries actually have. Many people actually think that this is a glorious job when you do have like 10 different assistants trying to actually make sure that you actually do have a foot massage in the morning and a back massage in the afternoon. But it's not like
but
that.
I thought that is what the parliamentary group was doing to me.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not
We've all been having massages, Asta. I don't know what.
You didn't
What?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Did you get the invite?
Shit, I must be smelling or something. There must be something.
But there's one thing I want to address though, which is very important. If you want to be engaged, then, and if you want to save democracy, which is in a huge crisis, then people have to understand that democracy is not a separate, or the system is not separated. We are the system. And if you do not put time and effort and care into it, we will have situations like we're seeing popping up all over Europe, popping up in the United States and various other parts of the world. So we have to understand that we have a responsibility as individuals to actually put an effort into our democracy. We are not going to save the world. We're not going to save Iceland, but we can do it with you if you are willing to put the time and effort into it. And so for the Icelanders, I just want to say, use Better Iceland, use Kæra Alþingi, because that's where all the bills come in, and you can actually put your voice there. You can let other people know what is happening, because I don't know how many times I've said in the parliament, where are you people? Where are you? Why are you not paying attention to what is going on? Because often it's only the big issues that get into the news, but there are a lot of other really bad stuff happening there, very badly crafted legislation, and legislation that is taking away rights. So, you know, hey, you guys, where are you? We need you.
But in a legislative system like we have here in Iceland, where parliamentarians, MPs, don't have 10 assistants like in Italy, for example, in the European Parliament, you guys, you are our assistants. And that is actually something that is actually your responsibility. And this has to do with like actually giving us our political knowledge of what is happening. It's about actually giving us information that what we should be asking. I'm not asking you of doing the job that we are doing, but being the political nose to actually being the understanding of what's actually happening, because we don't have the resources. And collectively, we can actually make something that is actually better than an assistance. It's basically our collective thinking that we can actually make happen. And I think that's actually quite beautiful.
More questions? A bit hive mind, yeah. More questions?
Yeah, so more questions.
Crowdsource the questions.
Question about your process of legislation. I presume, I don't know if you have subcommittees in the parliament doing work and somebody doing the preparatory work before it actually comes to a vote. How open is that process here?
Closed.
So closed. Yeah. So
you can send in an observation or like a comment about the legislative process, like the law that is actually being processed, but everything that's actually happening within the committee is closed and is not being reviewed elsewhere.
Can the opposition party have a representation in this committee?
Sorry?
You are in the opposition. You're still present in this committee.
Yes.
So you know what's going on. Can you tell what's going on? Is it,
we're not allowed to tell what specific people tell us about the bills in draft, but we can talk about the general sort of views and opinions that were heard.
But we've often been quite ignorant about these rules, and sometimes
we said next.
No, but with this has been like a massive fight. You know, ever since I got into the parliament, and last term actually, Helgi Hrafn, who was one of the Party MPs, made a habit of asking for open sort of committee in every speech he did. So it sort of became like completely like his motto. So we need to have one MP that is just his designated role to say it every time that you do a speech, because it's so important. You know, one of the reasons I fought for it was for a simple reason. When we were like 3 MPs, it was impossible for us to cover all the committees. So if I couldn't make it to a committee, there are not even notes. I don't even get notes about what the guests said, or you know who showed up. I don't get nothing. I have suggested we do podcasts because it's inexpensive. Because first they said, oh, it's very expensive, or problematic. And I offered, and I offered like, but it's. I think we might be. I think that if we are persistent this term, that it's quite possible. I'm putting forward a bill about it, or not a bill, like a proposal to change, you know, the parliamentary bylaws. We'll see. Eventually, they might give up on us.
But generally, the legislative process is like this: you have some work done in a ministry, so a specific ministry or other, and then they put forth a bill. That gets one round of debate in Parliament, and then it gets put into one of these committees to be discussed there. And there we have experts give us opinions on the pros and cons of a law, or why it's needed or why it's not, etc. And then it gets debated again, possibly again into the committee, then debated again, and then voted on finally, whether or not it becomes
And
law.
imagine that you actually have a committee hearing with like several different individuals that are very, part of an industry. And then they're just giving you like, oh my god, this is so important, we really need this. And, there's like, let's say it's about like some natural reserve thingy. So you have like the industry that's like, oh, you have to have like all this coal mines and shit. And then the next meeting you have like all those natural protectivists. And they're like, yes, I mean, it's really important that we don't do this. But the thing is, the bad thing about the committees that we have is that there's never a dialogue between the ones who actually want to protect and the ones who actually want to act. And I think that is actually the biggest, flaw of the current system that we have here in Iceland, is that if you're never able to actually have a dialogue between the ones who are pros and cons, we don't really understand what is actually wrong. And then we're supposed to actually make a law on that. And I'm just like, what the? What are we
there
here?
is
What are we here
often
for?
though, a citizen-inspired or NGO-inspired public meetings about bills that are in the process. And this one of the roles of the minority is to filibuster if there is a bad law that's being processed, so that people can actually have enough time to have a public discussion about the pros and cons. There's another crazy Icelandic thing that is very hampering and making it very difficult for us to have a functional parliament. So in each term there are 4 years, and after each year all the bills that are not finished are thrown away. So you have to start again. Even if it's nearly finished, you have to start again. You have to get all the guests, all the reviews, and you have to make sure that there's not one word that has been changed, because there's not the flag on the little minor changes.
So you mentioned you have NGOs. You have lots of NGOs that try to lobby, and any of that are sympathetic to you. I guess I might.
No.
It happens.
It's always the same people.
Yeah.
It happens, but it actually should be the purpose and the role of a parliament is to actually be an educational institution in a sense. It actually should be trying to actually lead the different voices that actually disagree, to actually have a public discussion about things that they actually disagree about, to actually that we can actually make a law about it. Because what is a law? Law is basically the ethical and social contract of the time that we actually live in. So if the parliament is not actually the platform to actually having these discussions, where are they being held? They may be randomly being held by institutions or lobbyists or whatever that care about things, but that is not their role. That is not their responsibility. It's our responsibility to actually lead those different voices so that they can actually be heard. So we can actually say, hey, this is how we took the decision, because this is the information that we had, and that is the reason why we took it.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry,
It's so many.
Yeah, there are 3 questions waiting. First Ási, then Star Wars, and then Arnaldur. Can we use? Okay.
Okay, my question is, and I would like everybody to answer this actually. I'm going to ask about the bill from the Minister of Health regarding classifying electric cigarettes the same as tobacco. What do you think? Is that bill actually public, or has he? No, not yet. But okay, but what are your thoughts on that? Classifying tobacco and electric cigarettes in the same category?
Should we go from the other end?
Yeah, maybe Gunnar starts.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy.
As a smoker.
Yeah, as a smoker. I would like to quit. I would like to use electric cigarettes and plant. But
Still equal than now.
I don't think there's any research yet to show that they're anywhere near as dangerous as tobacco. And shouldn't have the same restrictions, especially not in places like prisons and health institutions where people may have to stay for a long time. And there are very restrictive policies on how they can consume it. So I don't think it's a step back.
Yeah.
As a non-smoker, this is a gargantuan change in public health. So all for vaping. It's awesome compared to the conventional cigarettes. It's, in my opinion, my views, are not the same thing at all. The difference is colossal.
Well, it's harm reduction, and wanting to put the same restrictions on means of harm reduction as the actual harmful substance is lunacy in my mind. What worries me also is if we're going to start with this package using the same restrictions, they will start using the same taxation as well, and it will become probably more expensive to vape than to actually smoke. You know, it wouldn't surprise me that it would end up like that. I asked specifically if that was the plan, to also tax it in the same way, and they said no, not yet. So it's incredibly stupid, and I don't think it's gonna pass. I don't think most of the people in at least the Independence Party are going to accept it this way. And I think it's just ill-advised. I think it probably just came from the Ministry of Health, this idea. I don't think it comes out of the head of the Minister of Health himself. I think it's just something that was passed on to him and he can sort of make his own. And I don't think it will pass in the way that it is. I think it'll be modified quite a bit. What I think should be put into law is that bars and institutions and places should just be allowed to decide themselves whether or not they allow this, because it can't be a nuisance, but it's not a public health issue. It's not danger to public health. So I don't think you should restrict people in the way that you restrict people to smoke. I mean, I got over the fact that we're not allowed to smoke indoors anymore, and I think it was a good thing in hindsight, even though I was really pissed at the time. But yeah, well, I mean, but it was a good idea. But when it comes to vaping, it's like, maybe if it is a nuisance and you don't want it in your bar or in your cafe, you can say no vaping in here, and it's your right as a proprietor of that location. But to forbid it from all public spaces, cafes, everywhere, it's so stupid. It's taking away the harm reduction for this really very current public health issue.
All of the above. It's one of a few issues that I've heard government ministers talk about, which sound absolutely ridiculous to me. I haven't seen any bill. We haven't seen any bill to this effect. So it sounds that ridiculous that I kind of think they must have some reason that I don't know about. So on that condition, no, probably not. I mean, yeah, it's. I don't smoke, and I really like the sort of habit that has been coming around of people using vaping to try and fade or reduce smoking. So, and it also, it just seems a bit authoritarian and weird to me.
If I might just interject, the reasoning behind it is because there is no regulation around vaping. It hasn't been put into law, and I think they're just lazy using the same, like, oh, it's like smoking, so we just use the smoking law.
There is no law that says if you think the government is either acting out of malice or ignorance, it's ignorance.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I agree with everything that's been said here, and
we need a break soon.
I really think that this will be amended. I can hear it from the minister that he sort of feels a little bit embarrassed about how. And it is very important that people actually make their voices heard about this, because, like, I know so many people that have tried to quit, all their lives, and managed to be able to quit with vaping. I mean, it's similar as saying it's forbidden to have perfume. It's exactly the same, because the impact of vaping is basically, I don't like the smell of this flavor. You can have, I have been using like this tiny little vaping device, and I can hide it so well that nobody ever noticed that I'm using it.
Yeah, I never noticed it, like, really.
But I don't think it's going to pass as it is. I mean, but we have to stop it because it's so stupid.
I think we should ban the tutti frutti smell, because
I agree. Yes,
I think we should also ban the candy floss smell.
I think we should ban candy floss. Okay, candy floss is disgusting.
Can we ban
And
candy
Also
floss
strong
and
cheese,
candy floss
no more
smell?
strong
Oh
cheese.
yeah, absolutely.
That does exist.
Totally agree.
Does that exist?
So that is my stand. So I'm okay. I
And
still
meat,
ban that.
while we're at it, I hate the smell of meat. I've been a vegetarian for a long time. I really wish you guys would stop, polluting my atmosphere with your farts.
Specifically
Ban
blue
farts.
cheese. Fuck blue cheese.
Hey!
And farts.
Come on!
So if this bill will pass, we'll propose a new bill banning farts.
Yes, something like that.
Okay.
So, Asta, yeah?
Okay, next question.
Asta didn't get to, but I think we know she kind of...
I don't know. I haven't seen the bill, but it seems
Yeah,
quite,
same here.
hilariously stupid. But if it actually includes banning the tutti frutti smell and the candy floss smell and all the sweet smells, especially like that has to do with mango and pineapple, I'm fine.
I'm gonna quote you on that.
Please don't.
My question was almost exactly the same as Alci's question.
So please don't.
I sat down yesterday and actually read the draft of the bill, and I was like screaming at my laptop, and my girlfriend was like, "What the hell is going on?"
It's always a good sign.
Yeah. So I encourage you to look at it. It's just awful.
But
And,
one thing though, like Óttar when he was talking about it, he was like, well, it's just a suggestion, we're open for...
Suggestion now,
Yeah.
Like, just one example, they want to limit the size of e-liquid bottles to 10 milliliters, which is like smaller than 90% of vapors used today. So, yeah.
Crazy
I
stuff.
think pretty much covered it, so.
So, are we done?
Do we have one more question?
No,
and then,
no.
Okay.
Vilket när jag säger veto.
but
I need to
okay.
go to the loo.
But do we want to continue this after a break, or do we want to
No.
just sit
Can
around
we just
here
do
and
social
continue
Yeah, I
as a
think-
social
Yeah,
chatter?
socialize.
Okay, so
Oh, come on, let him ask the question.
Do you want a question, Katie?
Einar, yeah.
Oh,
Einar wanted to ask a question.
he
Oh,
aborted.
you asked, oh, sorry.
So anyone else dying to make a question, you can.
I don't know, man.
No, exactly.
I would certainly like to pose a question. It has a relevance on
Oh,
the issues that
I
we're
don't
touching.
Okay.
Okay, so
We're
can we
gonna
have
go to
one
the
more?
loo, or I'm
Yeah,
a-
but
I would
it's
just-
of a general nature. After
You can ask the question and she thinks about it in the loo.
yeah, okay. Actually, it's about the importance of the issues. We put forth 5 issues that we really put up there and said, this is our emphasis, this is what we're going to do. This is, and I've heard the grassroots of private parties. I've been looking at comments that we see on various issues, and there are questions raised about, because I think people don't see you actually putting the emphasis on these issues. And you actually said just earlier on that you have to find what you're interested in and put your efforts there.
Not interested.
No, we were talking
No,
about
no,
the
no.
public in that sense, that if they wanted to help us in our legislation, they should find what they were interested in.
Before that, actually, we were talking about workload.
yeah, but can I say one
Something
thing
to
about this,
focus
because
on.
I think it's very important. Maybe people don't understand that you deal with corruption. This was one of the 5
Yeah.
by opening the books of the private sector. That's how you can see how they're all interconnected.
Also
This is a
by
very
making
major
it
thing
penally
because a lot of
liable
people that are
to-
investigating corruption.
Yes.
It's not my perception.
No, yeah, yeah.
No, I'm
sorry.
just saying that.
It's a very
Can-
general perception.
Yes.
Can I also? I have been thinking about this a lot because it's a perception. For me, it's a perception problem, and that is a serious problem. I think both grassroots and of the pirates and general voters get this impression a lot, and that is a problem. And I've been thinking about it, and I've been trying my best to convey information to the public about what we're doing, how we're prioritizing, why we're not doing this or that. What we can do, all that. But that's something that's in, we have it in a process now. It's not, the situation of information flow is not very good right now, and we're trying to make it better. Just shortly in saying, the new constitution is one of the main reasons I am in politics. So you don't have to worry that it's not out of a lack of interest. I've been, advocating it in speeches in Parliament, and they, when they were trying to form a government, that was one of the main issues.
And we got it. Like if we could have done the government, you know, all these things were really there.
That's water under the
bridge. But we got 5 parties to commit to that process.
But let's just go. And then there's the healthcare system, and surrounding all of these is the fact that we don't have a majority. And if we were to put forth like a bill saying increase funding to the healthcare system by 20 miljarder, we just know it would be nonsense. It wouldn't go through.
Happen to it.
Yeah, so it wouldn't even be taken to Parliament.
It's also a question of where you want to focus your efforts and your energy, and focusing on things that you think might get passed. That is something that we think might happen to these focus areas that we have.
Yeah, but not to get, because I think you're right, and that is a real problem that we have to tackle, and that people are getting this perception. But like the healthcare, we have been supporting, like there's this bill on getting psychological help in secondary schools that we have been supporting very much, and we have been pushing, like just before Christmas, we were pushing a lot for every dime we could get into the healthcare system. That was
Honestly,
our main priority.
Before Christmas, the only reason why the healthcare system actually got as much as they got after this budget that we actually just passed is basically because of pirates.
Yeah.
So
because we threatened to filibuster.
You don't have to.
I know.
No, but it's actually, I mean, it's just so that's clear.
Talking about Asta, you probably missed that while you were.
No, I was actually busy.
We're talking about general perception.
Yeah.
Not mine, but the general public.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we need your help, and everybody that is sort of following what we're doing, and helping changing the perception so that people can actually see what we're doing.
Yeah.
And let's also bear in mind that, like, for example, in the next 2 weeks, we'll have 4 deputy MPs. And we have so many new MPs, and we're just starting. So, if we allow this sort of dialogue to start to evolve, then it's going to be very self-destructive. So why don't people ask, what can I do in order to help bring forward information and knowledge for the stuff that's being done, and how can we be involved in helping shaping the policies on how the Pirate Party is going to work within the Parliament? Because we are not going to be able to be on all fronts, but we really want to listen. And we really want to try to find ways for people to listen to us. Any help on this front would be very
thankful. And also, just remember, we've only been in a normal session in Parliament with a real government, with a majority. I'm just, for 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks. No, seriously, it's just like, and we're supposed to have fixed everything by that. It's like, seriously.
Come on.
Yes,
exactly.
No.
We're just like putting down the,
But
like,
to be
let's
fair,
realize that. We haven't actually achieved that in 2.5 weeks. Of course we're like shit.
But to be fair, I think it's good that grassroots is holding us accountable and up to date on these issues. So I think that's a very good thing. Just finishing what I was saying before, then we had the fishing quota system. We're not going to overturn it in minority, but we've been very vocal about how it has to be changed in Parliament, and also the rights of fishermen. And then about restoring trust in government was one of the 5 pillars, and that is basically our main issue in Parliament now: the truth telling of and information of ministers. So
trying to hold power to account.
Yeah, but I do think that one of the main tasks of us in the next few days and weeks at least is to try and change this perception and try and put more information out there. And we are going to need help from the grassroots. And it is, it's very helpful to get this message, but it is not helpful when maybe grassroots are saying officially, like outwards, the MPs aren't doing anything what we said, because you can get the information that we are doing a lot of these things, but we should.
The tricky thing on that is we're doing lots of stuff. We had the 3. Trying to be not objective here, 3 of the best speeches in the setting of the Parliament, by far even. Not a mention in the news. That's because we can't control what gets on the news. Somehow the other parties got like all interviewed.
Yeah.
But not a mention of.
If I can add that, it is our responsibility to inform our voters and to inform the grassroots what we are up to. And it has been sort of a slow start for us because we're still figuring out how we want to communicate, how it's best to get it out there what we're doing. And we're also still all just learning how all of it works. And sometimes it can be all a bit overwhelming. You're trying to write 3 or 4 speeches for the day and also work on an amendment and do this and that. And then you also have to write a blog post about what you were doing that day. And after that, you don't always have the energy for it. But I think it's something that we have been working on in workshops, we have been working on with our staff on how we're going to streamline it and how we're going to allot responsibility on who is going to say, oh, this is what we did today and this is what we did this week and so on. And we're working on sort of allotting the responsibilities between the parties. It takes a bit of time because it's been a very bumpy ride since the beginning. It's been really weird, all of it. And nothing has really been normal in the sense that Parliament can be normal so far. So I think we're getting there.
Be normal.
No, I know. But you know, I wrote my first blog post the other day. I'm gonna try and keep doing it at least once a week, preferably more often. But at least anytime I have something important going on, to inform people at least on my page what we're doing. But we also need to function more outwardly.
Okay, we have to end this. She has to go. We can continue this if you want. Just casually. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we need to stop now. Those that have questions.
Oh, can I?
No,
I don't have a question to be.
Okay.
Can I speak for 1 minute? Because I think I don't have a question, but a view on this. And I don't know. It's as if I've sort of thought that what if I get elected? Like, what's going to happen? Basically, I've thought it in a way that I'm just going to be basically a talking head who is going to give the grassroots views. And basically, I'm expecting, in that case, that I would get elected, I would expect the grassroots to basically do all the work for like looking for information and sort of making stuff for me, so I can present it, go to all these meetings, and be like talking to people and like networking and so on. And that's a full-time job as it is. I mean, you don't have time to do research that much at all. You need someone else to do that. And that's just my.
Okay.
Tell if he's an optimist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Johanna wants to finish.
Johanna wants to finish.
Yeah, I just want to thank the MPs for joining us tonight. If you have any more questions to them, try to catch them on their way out. But,
a few of us are staying here.
Yes. So we're going to stay for a few minutes and socialize and chat. So
and keep in mind, on Saturday we have a movie screening in Bio Paradis at 1 to 4. Democracy, German movie I think, and a panel afterwards with I think some of you and Helgi and others.
There are some social democrats.
Oh, welcome! And in 2 weeks there's a young pirate sort of meeting, félagsfundur, so you're welcome to join there.
Victor and I are gonna sit down and talk to people that want to.
Já, stofuspjall á stofunni á morgun.
Anyway, okay, fine.
Yeah, so let's